Wonderful welcome. It is a journey. There is no right answer. There is no right perfect tool in this day and age. We are building the future as we go. This is the ninth trek that we've taken along the way, and delighted to have Andreas Huseby with me today. You say just a sentence about yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation, Jennifer. We met more than a decade ago in the startup scene. I'm a biologist and a digital product developer or leader. Been working with startups, right now large Norwegian companies on innovation and digital product development. And with my background, I've been following this AI development since the 90s, both as a biologist and also as a technologist, and now as a power user exploring what's possible and sort of foreseeing what's happening. And I really look forward to sharing that with you and get some feedback and discussions going.
We'll have some very interesting real world examples. And in some of the feedback we've received in the past, people want more specifics. How do I actually do this? Which tool does what? What does this actually mean? So Jens will bring a lot of that to our discussion. Just a reminder, after the session, we encourage you to use this SurveyMonkey link in order to give us more feedback so that we can continue to plan the upcoming journeys. And this is definitely not your average webinar. This is a time to discuss, it's a time to engage, to share, and to argue back with us. We don't have all of the answers, but we invite you to join in and jump with us as we go forward. And I was reflecting earlier today that it was literally about a year ago today that we were on this journey with Thomas Aglero. And Thomas brought up this idea that one day in the future, we'll have my AI talks to your AI, schedules what we're going to do, schedules doctor's appointments, and lays out a whole path for our life. And I think some of us kind of said, huh? Well, today, that is what we have. Now, some people believe these AI agents or agentic AI using an AI tool in order to actually be an agent for you, do something, complete a full set of tasks for you. Some people believe this could be the end of the world. And I have to say that when I look at the power of the technology, especially combining AI and robotics and some of the other technologies, that is a potential possibility in the world. However, I don't believe that is going to be the case because of people like us. People like us that are going to use the technology and demonstrate that AI, robotics, and other tech can be used for good purpose, because we're going to take these tools with us into our lives, but into the workplace, leveraging the tool to make us as people more valuable, more important. I like to think of it as we, the people, will be powered by the AI as opposed to consumed by the AI. And one of the things that Jens and I were just talking about is the kinds of roles that people have in jobs today. Many times companies hire people in order to do a set of tasks or to create something. Translation might be a good example. I know a lot of people that were in translation agencies that they sat all day and translated word for word. I mean, that's insane today. That's not what you would use a person for. You would use a tool to do translation. But you still need a person to review what the tool created. Think about it from the context of the use of that document, the customer, the environment, the legalities around it. So the people are going to be more important to put the stamp of approval, to think through what they ask the tool to do, and to analyze how the results of that task can be used to achieve the objective, which is a well-written document that can be understood in 15 different languages. So it's shifting the mindset. And that aligns with what I have recently seen coming out of the World Economic Forum around leaders looking at AI as being a way to rethink completely their business. Instead of having a business to build something, we need to have a business to deliver something. We need to understand what our customers need. We need to think about the objectives of how we can deliver real value to them by leveraging the technology to do the task. The recent study also showed that at least 22%, almost a quarter of jobs this year will change significantly. Part of that is going from doing to thinking, using the tool correctly, analyzing, applying. And part of that is delivering to people, adding the humanity to the society in which we're living, in which technology is the back end engine, if you will. And yes, there will be some jobs that will be eliminated. 8%, compared to some of the dystopian studies that I've heard saying 50% of jobs will be eliminated. 50% of jobs over the next 5 years will probably be changed significantly. But it's only the jobs where people are doing things, doing tasks that could be automated that will be eliminated. That opens those people from that doing and some of the things that people didn't really enjoy doing to be able to move into new roles, using the human capacity, using the context of understanding the world, using intuition to take the task result into building real value into society. So ultimately, we see that there will be more new jobs coming available over the next 5 years, more new opportunities for people to think and act differently and different types of roles. So what kinds of roles might those be? Now, some will be technology, but the jobs that are looked at as the opportunities for the future are not programming and coding. That was a trend, what, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? No, the tech can do the coding. That's not the issue. The jobs and the role for people and brains is, how do I integrate these AI systems together? How do I use agentic over here and use Claude here and a different tool here in order to achieve these tasks to deliver the result I need? So it's understanding the tech and integrating it. Data science. All technology can use is data. Technology doesn't today have intuition or human thinking. So by understanding the data that you have, parsing it out, thinking about where and how you can use it to achieve the result is an important new role coming into society. And we all know privacy concerns, questions, fraud, etc. Security and cybersecurity is expected to increase significantly over the next year. The other area of growth is a lot more roles in the human experience. Customer care. 2 years ago, customer care meant somebody sitting on the phone, probably in India, answering questions about technology. We've gone way beyond that today. Customer care is now someone that understands your situation, your context, gains information from AI on what you've been doing, and makes suggestions about how you can move further. Sales roles, customer success roles, expanding the capabilities of what people can do. Healthcare. There's a continued growth in the need for healthcare as we traditionally see it, but what about taking healthcare to a new level where there can be proactive, not preventative care, but proactive care based on your DNA, based on your patterns, based on your desires. And huge opportunities to not only rethink how we educate people, as we talked about in our last journey, but also education in how people can use the technology. The other areas of growth are around leadership. People today are afraid. Leaders have a responsibility to develop the vision. Where are we as a company going? What is the North Star that we're trying to get to? How can we use the tools and the people to get there? And empowerment, allowing people to get out of the boxes, out of the office, out of the 9 to 5, and explore the technology and how they can use it to achieve an objective. I don't believe that the idea of hours at work and paid by the hour and doing tasks, I believe that will go away completely over the next 1 to 3 years, and needs to. We need to value and pay people and reward people based on what they actually achieve. And in order to do that, leaders have to have trust in their teams, and they have to have the skills in building trust throughout the organization. Instead of monitoring what somebody does when, believe that they will use the right tools and methods securely and safely in order to achieve the goals. And ultimately, we all need to improve our technical literacy. The way we use the tools, considerate prompting, the way we integrate, and our critical thinking to really discern what can we use when and how do we best apply it. Curiously, always looking forward. So yes, there will be jobs that are eliminated, but that doesn't mean for us around the table, we're losing our capabilities. We need to lean in, learn how to best use the technology to avoid that disruption, because others are already doing so, as you will hear from Jens coming up in a few moments. Future ready leadership, it's about thinking out of the box, leaving behind the days of task management, organization, hierarchy, who worked more hours, leaving that far behind and encouraging, empowering, and rewarding people for thinking differently, exploring, just like children in the playground. They don't follow guidelines and steps and I'm going to swing on this and then swing on that. They run and they try it. And that's what we're doing here on this journey, is we're trying things, we're exploring, and we're debating and sharing our experiences with it. There isn't one right answer. It's how we're each looking at it and using it and sharing, which is going to bring us to an opportunity. I see we have at least one thing in the chat, and probably a lot of people have questions on my dissertation there. And hello, Indira from yeah, Switzerland. I almost said Sweden. And hello to others that joined while I was chatting away there. What questions, debates, discussions, arguments do you all have before we turn over to Jens? Matthew.
I I think I might have brought this up before, but the I think the general shortage of teachers is around about in the area of 10%, 10 to 15%.
Mhm.
And I think we all know that in most cases, just like healthcare, teaching is in the kind of dark ages. It hasn't changed for 800 years, I don't think. So for me, AI can help to, to get rid of that gap,
Mhm.
and to make it easier for teachers. I was only just talking to a person that supplies support to children with mental health issues and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And we were again discussing AI and how it might actually be able to lessen the amount of time it takes to train a teacher. So there's so many different things we can do if we just think outside the box instead of thinking, oh Christ, AI is here, it's gonna kill us all. Use the bloody thing. You have a car, you wouldn't walk 1,000 miles when you have a car, would you?
Very, very good analogy there. Carver, welcome back.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. So a few things, Jennifer, as always, you made me think about a lot, but a couple of things that I saw come up recently that tie into the discussion are one, taking the approach of just banning AI. There was an article on this, is likely to cause workers to just go rogue and use it anyway. Which is pretty interesting, right? So it's like, with these devices, the consumerization of IT, AI has been consumerized, right? There's people using it personally. And so even when they're told not to, they're going to try to use it at work for all the reasons you just said. And so the imperative is on organizations and their leadership to come up with the guardrails for, okay, here's the acceptable uses of AI, within the workplace. And by the way, we've put tools in place to monitor that you're abiding by these policies. So I just found that interesting that it's so prevalent now for so many people because they've seen all the benefits you're talking about that, kind of similar to all the privacy things you give up when you use one of these. People are like, I don't care. The utility is too great. I'm not going to pass it up. So I thought that was really, really interesting that you know, the workers are telling the organizations, you got to do this, right? And then the other quickie thing I would throw in is related to compliance too. I'm seeing a lot of things around compliance now and how that relates to AI tools. And so it's not just, organizational imperatives that folks have to watch out for. So anyway, great discussion as always. And by the way, I apologize, I can't stay for the full session today. So it's not the content, it's a client obligation. But thank you for the invite today.
No worries. We're definitely seeing BYO AI. So Sonia, then Selim, and then I'll turn over to Jens for comment and to start sharing his points. But Sonia, you up first.
Hello, everybody. Lovely being here with you guys. Always learning a lot from you. Yeah, my concern is I totally agree with you that we need to, live in a playground, that we need to think out of the box, because that's what I dedicate my time to. So I fully believe in it. But I find very difficult, not convincing, but putting my point through to some CEOs and C levels because they tend to look at the short term, and when you try to implement this type of culture, it takes time, and trial and error, probably going down in your results for a while, or here and there. So it takes some risk, until the culture is kind of settled and it's understood that it works. And I don't see they're very ready for it because they are being asked for results, immediate results, like three every quarter. It's not even year results; it's quarterly results. So how would you do that?
One thing that I'm seeing within a couple of our clients is in the last 6 months, people have started the bringing your own AI, and they're starting to realize that IT has gotten completely behind the eight ball on this stuff. And that has actually caused the CIO to say, hang on a second, we can't just hide away from the issue. We've got to put a strategy in place and we've got to start small. And that's always my recommendation. Start with a small project, a tiger team that's going to drive that to get some success and then build on top of it. Selim.
Great.
I have two comments. Number one, to build on Sonia's comments, I fully agree with what you said, Jennifer. CFOs are very much challenging investment in AI, and the only way to overcome this is doing baby steps. On the other hand, I hear people being optimistic about jobs. I'm a CEO of a large jewelry company, the largest in the Middle East. And frankly, I've seen a significant reduction in our headcount thanks to AI. We had very specific examples. We had 125 CAD designers designing jewelry on the computer. Today I have 20. Very easy. Within 6 months, I moved from 125 to 20. Number one. Number two, we do production with celebrities for jewelry, obviously, which you all watch on social media. It was all done by physical models. Today, it's all done by AI. And the advertising agency, I had lunch yesterday with the CEO of a big advertising agency in Dubai. He has 150 people. He showed me a piece of work which one employee did within 3 hours with AI versus before 4 employees for a month. And he started laying off people. So when I hear new jobs will come, it's like with any new technology, but the new jobs will come definitely, but there is a significant disruption coming up.
Yeah.
Taxi drivers, bus drivers, people who do repetitive tasks, cashiers. In Dubai, by the way, you see less and less cashiers. We're all doing our own scanning. So there will be disruption coming. There is major social disruption coming, which many people don't want to talk about because we're all optimistic. Yes, there are new jobs coming in, but I don't see it personally in real life.
Okay. Jens, why don't you bring up your slide deck here? And Rudy, your point, it looks like you're urgent.
Well, no, it's also as a point on disruptive. I mean, it's like certain job, also junior consultancy jobs, lawyer jobs. How are we going to learn the trade again? I mean, when I reflect on this one, I started as a junior consultant before becoming a strategist and on getting to the McKinsey level. And so how disruption that will take place and the jobs that will disappear, this revolution, need to be managed very well and very carefully. Otherwise, people will be without income and not able to learn. Or how that's going to be a big question for me. Disruption is normal. It happened before. We went to the automotive industry, so we have seen it in our past before. But we're not ready for this type of disruption yet in our society, I think.
And that's where I think we have an opportunity to educate people on small steps, little things they can do to explore new ways of operating. So Jens, take us through your view here.
Yes, thank you. And as I told you, I work on this every day, and I give a lot of talks around topics like we've discussed so far. What does it mean for an organization? How do you incorporate safety, and how does it fit in, say, the architectural frameworks of a company? But for this challenge, for this meeting, I've challenged myself to give you some advice. And that's where I want to start at. Just explaining to you what I think you should be doing this year. And then I'll get into the details on the technology and the developments that underpin this advice. And the core ideas is that this year you should start using your AI as your assistant, as your personal assistant. And this year you should also put AI inside or very close to you. And you should use AI to broaden your own vision. And what I mean by this, we all heard about the agentic AI, and that's a very strong commitment from all the major players. Have all announced that this will be the year of agentic AI. But what does that mean? Agentic AI means using AI to perform tasks on your behalf. And we can already see that ChatGPT or OpenAI has started moving towards it. So if you log into ChatGPT now, you can see this option that says ChatGPT tasks. And that's just a simple scheduler. It allows you to create a prompt that will be performed at a later point in time. That doesn't sound revolutionary, but what I think OpenAI does is trying to better get to know what you want ChatGPT to perform on your behalf without you being there. It's a very small step towards agentic AI. And that's the second point I want to make. Agentic AI has been possible since at least 10 years. And I used it right after ChatGPT came out using a third-party tool called AutoGPT. And at the time, I was working for an auto dealer or a car dealership in Norway, the largest car dealership in Norway. And I've just tried this tool to find the best deal on a used car in Oslo. Now that tool is long gone, but I tried using it, or tried to use a new third-party solution yesterday just to recap what I did. And this is an example just showing you how agentic AI works. So if you look at this screenshot here, I just told it that the goal for you is to find the best deal on a popular 2019 model Volkswagen car in Oslo. And what agentic AI means is that it takes that prompt and it wants to achieve that. And then it figures out, to achieve that, I have to break it down to tasks. And you can see the tasks in the lower screenshot. It needs to research popular 2019 models in Oslo. It needs to compare prices and deals from different dealerships. It needs to narrow down options to find the best deal, etc., all the way down to contact the dealership and finalize the purchase. And once it starts breaking down those tasks into small subtasks, it will actually perform them. It will generate code to do this. It will screen scrape, it will search on Google, it will collect data, it will analyze data, and it will do or try to achieve the goal of finding the best deal on a popular 2019 model car in Oslo. So that's what agentic AI means. It's actually a task being performed on your behalf. Of course, this is the more power you give this tool, or the more access you give this tool to your, say, calendar, your email, your phone number, your bank account, whatever, the more tasks it can perform on your behalf. So the more power you give it, the more powerful it becomes, and you have to find the right balance here. And we know this will be launched this year. ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini have all said that they will do this. And just thinking a little bit ahead, we can expect this to be just a part of the interface you already have. You just ask it to perform something and it will start doing that instead of giving you a response. And you can also expect that Microsoft Copilot, which is embedded inside the Office ecosystem, or Google Gemini, which is embedded inside the Office tools or the Google tools you already have, they will have an advantage because they're already integrated to your calendar, to your email, to your other solutions. It's going to be easy to use, but be careful on what you give it access to. Another point I want to make is that you should put AI inside. And what I mean by AI inside is think about you and AI as partners. Previously, you thought about AI as a tool and your output as maybe you get some help from that tool. But now you want to maximize the output from you and the AI, or the AIs, or the tools you find. Because AI now can generate so many different things, you can also generate more. You can generate more text, you can generate more presentations, you can generate more ideas. And all of these ideas you can generate at a larger volume than you could before. But to do it, to maximize the output from you and the AI, you also want the AI to complement you. You want it to balance your output. And what I wanted to share with you was my customization of ChatGPT. You can see on the right hand here is a screenshot directly from my customization of ChatGPT. And I translated the second part using ChatGPT, of course, where I ask it to give me constructive criticism. I like to explore ideas and would like to help to see things from different perspectives. Because the user interface on ChatGPT has been pre-set up to try to help you feel good about what your ideas. But you don't want that. You want it to criticize you and sort of complement your own weaknesses. And just to share something a little bit wilder, I told it some details on my personality tests. I'm very high on openness. I'm very high on agreeableness, which is not all that good. And I asked it to please keep that in mind when you give me advice. What are the counter arguments? How should I proceed into this meeting, given that this is my personality? What are my weak points that you can help me counter for in any given situation? And I use that in voice chat with ChatGPT. I talk with ChatGPT every day. And having given it that set of instructions, it knows who I am. It knows how to counter argument me and help me plan, explore, and prepare for, say, meetings. And that's the third or fourth point here. You want to increase the quality of your output with you and the AI by having it complement you. The third point I want to make is that you should use AI to help broaden your vision. I sort of touched on that because it can sort of fill your gaps, but it also means that you can explore much more widely. Previously, it's been the case that when you say write a text, that's a huge task. And once you've done it, you don't want to do it again. But now we can have variations of that text being generated, say 1,000 different variations in 20 minutes. One example is I wrote a pretty long article and thorough article on different operating models, the product operating models from Silicon Valley and Marty Kagan. And I compared the car industry in Norway or in Germany and in the USA very thoroughly. Long article. But once I had written that, I wanted to create a smaller piece for a smaller audience, for a product team. And I just asked Claude, which I find much better for writing. This is my target audience. I want to take some key points from this article and generate an article for this target audience with fewer points, much shorter, much more younger in language. And it just generated that. I did some tweaks and then I published it in, say, 5 minutes. I redid the same thing on LinkedIn, say generated LinkedIn post based on this, that encourages the audience to click on the link and read the entire thing. And this is just for me and personally when I create presentations or texts, but also in my line of work, which is digital product development. You can now test many prototypes at the same time. You can generate 1,000 or 100 different copies and try them all out at the same time. And what you will see is that this is automated. I put a screenshot here from a website called Keek or Keak, which is an autonomous web publishing platform. And you just tell it to optimize conversion rates for my company. And it will try out lots of different designs at the same time, learn which designs generates the most clicks or the most click-throughs or the highest conversion rates, and adapt without anyone touching it. And this is a technology, this is a set of technologies or a way of thinking solutions that are adaptive and autonomous that we will see in more areas than just web design. As long as you can close.
Website could personalize itself depending upon the audience that is looking at it.
Yes. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to talk about there, but as long as you can close that feedback loop, it will automatically adapt to the user or reach the goal that you want to. So again, I use this mindset all the time. That's a photo of me on my motorbike on my way to a meeting, actually planning for that meeting, looking at things from different angles while I chat with ChatGPT. And when I arrive at my destination, I already have an agenda for the meeting and thought about all the ways that the conversation can go and what counter arguments I will meet in my discussions. Lastly, I want to remind everyone to have fun with AI. Playing with AI is actually the best way to approach it because it's such a complex solution. You don't really understand how it works. You need to get sort of a feeling on how it works. And this is just a photo of me and my family. To the left, of course, I generate lots of versions of that, like the cyberpunk futuristic, share it with my family. And there's this really fun website called websim.ai where you can just enter a domain name that you make up, and it will generate a website on its own. So I entered unitedprocrastinators.org, and it generated the website for this ideal company or this organization, including the famous button join later for joining the United Procrastinators. So this is how you get to know AI, play with it, but use it deliberately this year as your assistant. Get it close to you, think about the output from you and AI and use it to broaden your vision. That's my advice.
And think also about how it can help you and others around you identify what are those best opportunities for the future. The question that came up earlier of how can a junior consultant get started in a particular industry? Perfect question to ask an AI, and then drill further down into the various answers that come from that. So circling back, and you can stop sharing when you're able to there, Jens. And
Yeah.
it looks like Matt and Philip have their hands up. So I'm not sure who went first. Just Philip, you're unmuted. Jump on in. Philip.
Okay, thanks. I've asked a couple of questions. One is what versions of this stuff are you actually subscribing to? How many different AIs are you subscribing to? And I'll just share a couple of horror experiences I've had. I subscribed some time ago to a small AI, and I can't even remember what company it was, but the damn thing fished me. I tried to take $1,800 out of my account, and thankfully I've always operate using a debit card when I buy, and so there wasn't $1,800 for it to take, but it meant that I had to cancel the debit card. I also find it very frustrating that with ChatGPT and Gemini, for that matter, I try to do things and it tells me, oh, you've got the wrong subscription. So I just, those things drive me mad. I am an absolute inveterate follower of all this stuff. And every week I think, oh, that's fantastic. And then next week I see something else and that's even better.
Yeah.
So I keep, if you're going to hold back and wait till you got something really fantastic, every week there's going to be something even better from somebody completely different. And there is the overhead, of course, of learning this stuff. So I'd be very interested to get your reaction to those comments.
Yeah, I think those are very good questions. I stick with the largest providers. So OpenAI and Microsoft Copilot, of course. And I've found Claude AI to be very, very useful for text, especially, and especially in the Norwegian language. It's much better on the Norwegian language than ChatGPT is. So I think one key point here is that these tools develop so quickly. They develop new capabilities so quickly. So whenever you try something out and it doesn't perform as well as you hoped it would, that doesn't mean it cannot do it a month later. So I think the best way for me, at least, to approach it is to try to achieve something that is pretty wild whenever I need to generate a text or prepare for a meeting. I try to do something pretty wild, and then I see it doesn't work and I lower my expectations to it, and then I find the spot where it actually helps me. And then I try again next time, maybe a month later on, I try that pretty wild thing again. And I think for me, that's the best approach. And also, as we can get into that later, but I actually read the terms and conditions of these services, and I think that's very important. And you can actually use AI to help you read them and interact with the terms and conditions. And that's also very helpful.
Excellent. Matt.
Yeah, I think both Philip and Jens covered a bit of what I'm going to talk about. I was at a conference this morning, and this person was telling me that they were talking to somebody and they got the roof repaired, but they got two invoices, one from a scammer, and they paid the wrong one. And now they're shit deep in a 10 grand debt. But I suppose my kind of comment, question, discussion point, I don't know, but at what stage and how quickly are we going to get to a stage where we don't know what in the name of God we're paying for? Whether it's actual, whether, as scammers get more and more familiar with AI and more, really, really good AI people start to turn themselves into criminals or wannabe actors, let's say, in movies. It's going to be like I got an auto renewal that I didn't know about today as well, and I thought that's AI, that's somebody trying to scam me. So I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to know what I'm actually paying for, and how long will it take when it does happen that I'm not paying for the right stuff for me to find out I paid for the wrong stuff and I'm gone, the money's gone.
Jens.
This is a very interesting question. You were attending a talk I had about the threats of AI earlier, Jennifer. Of course, AI helps scammers. Of course, AI is a tool for people with bad intentions. I think there's a counter argument there as well, that AI will also improve the defenses against those scammers. And one story from the company I work with, the consultancy company, is one guy here operates chess.com, where people play chess, and they noticed that people were using AI bots to help them make the right moves. And what did they do in chess.com? They had to generate an AI to recognize when moves were made by an AI. So you have this AI versus AI fight, on the attack side and on the defense side. And that's more or less what you see in, say, general security and cyber defense to begin with. That the threats are always there, the scams are always there. There will be more varied. There will be they will increase in scope and volume, but you will also have better defense mechanisms for them. So and that's like to me as a biologist, this is an arms race. That's just going to happen.
And that's where the importance of people, to be able to understand the context, understand the implications, and to really think people are more important now than ever before. And if it used to take you 5 hours to do a task, it takes you 30 minutes to do it, then you need to spend at least 30 more minutes to understand, how did I use that tool? What is my subscription to it? How might this be utilized differently? And to ensure that you're providing as much support for yourself as possible. Those next generation employees coming into the workplace need to be security minded as well. Jens.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that because I don't remember who asked that question. I think it was Carver, about people bringing their AI to the workplace. And I think one takeaway from that is everyone remembers when smartphones were new and companies had to decide on how to relate to that. Do we forbid it? Do we give people their own smartphones? Do we standardize what smartphones can use? And we ended up in this situation where, with policies and guardrails concerning bring your own device, you have to enlist it to your to the company. You have to sign into this single sign-on portal where we enforce our security. You know, you have to have those guardrails around, but you don't want to stop people using the best tools they have available. And you can't be, and there are two reasons for that, because people are both more productive when they use tools that they know, but also they are going to do it anyway. So if you put the defense mechanisms too high, you actually have a lower total defense against the threats, because then you have no control on what they do.
Sinan?
One comment. I fully agree with you, Jens. I encourage our 2,000 employees to use AI. However, I see a risk of human beings becoming lonely. People are spending so much more time with AI, they become like their friends. I ask AI about my personal life, my health situation, my sports, my business, my work, and I see a risk of loneliness and people who really are losing their communication skills and human bonding relationships. And there are some articles about youth, young generations, who are not as good as us, the oldies, at developing personal relationships.
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the education process that we need to give, and the importance of that and the value of that will simply go up. Patrick, then Rudy, and then Shaheen.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Salim, for that. Thank you, Jens. Beautiful family you have.
Thank you.
I'm going to lower my hand here and talk. Amazing stuff. I'm an old pioneer, mainframe engineer, IBM Systems 370, more than 40 years ago. I've been watching automation take its course in cycles.
Mm.
And I think we overemphasize AI. It's just another version of automation.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool. But here's the human factor thing. I've been observing that also for 40 years, right? So as we reduce the human factor, and I was a general manager at Dell for a lot of years. We squeezed the lemon until nothing was left. That was 20 years ago, you know. And the lemon squeeze, everything's gone. This is kind of funny. Now we take AI, we squeeze what's left of the lemon. Oh, there's nothing left. We're squeezing more. What's going on? You know, it's really funny to watch. You know, and when we reduce the number of processes and components that are not automated, it's left to humans to fix it when it doesn't work, because nothing else is going to fix it. And that means we become more important. We become excruciatingly a pain in the ass for owners of companies, because we people are important, right? So my group, we're working on what's called relational intelligence. So ability for technology to help support working against the loneliness, Salim, right? So we call them human interaction protocols, and inserting those through calendars into reality in person and in digital. You know, and luckily the AI, most of their space is digital space. They don't walk into a room yet and smack us in the face, right? But what I'm saying is we must understand that the importance of relational intelligence and being able to push the relate button and help people get into this space where they feel safe and heard and seen and truly valued as human beings. This doesn't happen in our normal models at work anymore. So if AI going to make it all faster, it's going to be faster darkness, faster, more anger and hate and distance from each other. So we need to offset that with goodness and kindness, and ancient wisdom needs to enter the room through technology. So I'm doing a 30-day tour around the world to all my friends, bringing that little tiny piece of tech with me, because no one else in Silicon Valley is working on it right now. Everyone is going a different direction. But Jens, I'd be totally curious, you know, about this component, this humanity and the humanness, and not to make it more efficient. I mean, my first ex-wives would shoot me again for, I'm going to make my relationship efficient. You know, what the hell, right? So I love that stuff. And Jennifer, you're wonderful in all the things that you've started and brought into the world. And I'm very impressed. I'm very inspired by you guys. So thank you. And back over to Jens.
Thank you. So Rudy, you have your hand up, and then I know Shaheen has wanted to say something. I'm going to bring up just a reminder of the survey while we, and we'll stay on here and carry on. I just want to.
Yeah, I would like to say something. Actually, building on what we were saying before, is the social impact the disruptive innovation, and the people left out of society. I mean, the social impact is going to be big. Again, it's still going, bills that they can use from digital to go from analog to digital. The 70-year-olds are not with us, the banks left them behind. Now we're having AI. There's going to be a group of people or part of society that will not understand this and will not be part of it. So the social impact and society as a whole, the human factor, has to take a good, otherwise this could lead to revolution of people that are feeling left out of this one. So I think this is great and support it, but I also can see the major social implications, the human factor, or people that feel left out, because not everybody is digital yet, okay? Not everybody has a smartphone. Not everybody has a web page or know what the web page is. So how are we going to deal with that one? How are we going to take care of the people that we're leaving behind?
So we
The human.
see in a number of our clients, and including IKEA based here in Sweden, that there is a new concept of reverse mentoring for exactly that reason, so that the 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old can work with a 20-year-old. The experienced person giving context of history and the world and how things have worked that is useful and educational to the young person. The
Now
young
you
person
want to be
helping
sure
and
the
guiding
young person are going to be with it, okay? I think we're assuming here that all young person understand this also, okay? So education, I think our societies, our governments are falling behind of making policies to support us. And so we moving ahead fast, but education is not following. And I'm not so sure all students from 20-year-olds, 16-year-olds will be completely understand this either. So there might be people without income because they just are not in society anymore. So how are we going to deal with that problem?
Completely agree that education needs to be completely revamped. Really, that's one of my pet points. But Shaheen, I wanted you to jump in. You've kindly raised and lowered your hand a couple of times. I love your viewpoints as a thought leader from Silicon Valley.
Oh, thank you, and great to be here, and good to see you all again. I think there are a few things I want to say. One is that there are people, there are organizations, and there are things that are increasingly just AI bots. And those three things will interact together. And those three things are getting different advice. So the advice that we give individuals is great and absolutely valid, but the advice to society needs to be different. The advice to companies needs to be different. As you probably know from our previous exchanges, my planning assumption, not expectation, but planning assumption, is that AI will be better than humans in everything. Let's say that. Let's say that just as a planning assumption. Mm-hmm. Let's assume for the sake of argument that AI will be better than humans in everything. Everything. Now what? Now what are we going to do? Right? Now, hopefully, that will lead to what Patrick was saying. Hopefully that will lead to a deeper understanding of the human value. Hopefully that will lead to a situation where humans are not measured against machines on anything, that being human is sufficient. And I think the advice to individuals, there's this sort of a threat to it that I don't like that says, if you do this and you do that, you can stay ahead of the machine. And I think the formulation of life where humans must compete with machines is an ultimately losing battle, because humans will lose, just like we lost against the airplane when it came to speed, just like we lost against the forklift when it came to lifting things, right? So if we assume that, I think that will give us a different perspective and hopefully a richer perspective. You know, secondarily, these items will interact with each other. So I may use AI to do what I do, but who's going to consume it? Increasingly, it's going to be AI that consumes it. Mm-hmm. And AI is going to have a different set of requirements than people, right? So, and then the AIs are going to talk to each other. Their AIs are going to interact with each other. They're going to transact with each other. They're going to need a, bank account. So our customers are not just people anymore. Our customers are also AI, right? So I think that whole kind of a situation leads to a scenario where imagine you're standing by the side of a pool, and inside the pool is teeming with digital things living together, interacting with it, and humans have just a toe in. And maybe that toe is not even in all the time. So what does that mean for humanity? What does that mean for society? Now, the difficulty in all of this is that there's no guarantee that this thing will end well. There's no guarantee that anything will end well. And sort of historical analysis shows that there is quite a bit of randomness in how things pan out. And it really is up to everybody. It's up to sort of enlightened societies to make sure that the guardrails are there such that this thing moves towards some betterment of humanity rather than sort of the opposite. So anyway, I'll pause here, but thanks for the opportunity and great to be here.
Great points on the integrated. It's not either or, it's how can it work together, and our role to set the guardrails and set the examples. Jens, you had a point.
Yeah, because I totally agree with all these points about, I think about humanity as opposed to the technology. I just want to share one key experience I have, or one set of usage that I see is very useful that doesn't counter this. Because AI is, and I have the reference article, AI is really good at guessing other people's intentions and motivations, which means you can use it to challenge yourself to think through what other people need. So the way I chat with ChatGPT on my voice is more closely reminiscent of reading a book. It allows me to think about my relationships. It allows me to think about how I interact. It allows me to see myself from the outside and how I function in my team and with my colleagues and with my family. So I think there's this sort of a space here that is totally unexplored because we have this little bit too strong association with technology and efficiency. But current AI is already better at helping you see yourself from the outside and engage yourself in thinking about and evaluating how you work with other humans.